Commissioner Pfeiffer, lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
First item on the agenda, we have sealed bid openings for our Millum building.
And we did not get any bids.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, guys. All right.
So what's the next step?
Plan B.
For sale sign on it? See, that's there.
Then a for sale. After we,
Listed?
how many side dumps has the county highway department got?
Enough to haul it away all winter.
Yeah.
Do we list it, or?
Would it be easier to sell the bare lot?
I don't know.
Probably not.
So we just, have we advertised with the appraised value or anything on it? Do people know what that is?
There was a suggested bid on here.
It was on
In the
the dock
Yeah.
with the appraisal came in at. Was there any?
And they upped that, right? Because we had redone the roof.
It had a fair market value of $248.
240?
Was there any interest at all? Was there any, none?
Oh, there was a couple people that called early on, but...
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of interest either.
So we set another date like we did racetrack and just see if some chatter starts and consider bids again in a couple weeks. Not a lot else we can do.
About our only choice. The least expensive choice.
So 2 weeks would be the 24th, right?
Well, I think that's a good idea. Just let it.
If anybody's interested, just reach out or bring their bid that day.
Plan.
Oh, you only got a couple.
Yes.
So you want to do it, how would you get for another 850?
Yeah, we have minutes from September 3rd.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the general meeting minutes of September 3rd. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And claims.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Pfeiffer, to approve claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Pfeiffer, second by Sutton, to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Kathy?
Mhm.
Very good. Anything that we can fill in with for a couple minutes, or?
No, not really at this point.
I guess I will note also, there will be no commission meeting September 17th due to the convention in here, the South Dakota Commissioners Convention. So we'll note that there'll be no meeting on next Tuesday.
I guess I could let you guys know, we are getting reimbursed for our tabulator we bought in 18 from some federal funds that trickled down for elections.
Good.
So Secretary of State's going to reimburse that, and then a couple of our express votes.
Do you know about how much that was?
Oh, I think it's going to be around $130,000, and it'll go into our HABA fund. So we'll save it for our next one.
Good.
Yeah.
Sometimes good news is nice.
That doesn't affect your budget, it's your plan for going.
No, we just have some funds set aside just strictly for restricted election purchases, and the state actually holds them.
We should thank ourselves for getting some of our money back.
Good job.
Nice how that works.
Yeah.
Okay, we're close enough to go to 8:50. Second item on the agenda is second public hearing on our 2020 provisional budget. I think we have a couple motions to be made.
Yeah, we could start with the budget that was approved by Communications Council. And then we're also, the addition of the JDAI accounting fund, that wasn't in the original budget as well. So those 2 items need to be added in.
I'll move the communications line item.
Second.
Discussion? So it actually, that's what's on this sheet, that's gonna come out to $1,282,000?
Yep, just a little bit over last year's budget about.
And so that's basically 1/2 of the total amount of money, or does that include the city's
Yep, so
share of the money?
each entity will pay $400,000 from their general fund.
Okay.
The balance comes from the 911 fund of 435, about 435,000 comes from the 911 fund, which is how those numbers got to that. And then there was a little bit taken out of the reserve, that sets in the reserve about 40-some thousand
It ends up being
dollars.
around $47,000.
So that's how that budget came about.
And I had Kent look over that, because I put in those numbers, and he agreed that was okay for him, so.
And that amount does not allow for any new FTE, which was requested. Remember, they wanted some new, but we didn't have the money for that. And it does not allow for the software increases. They wanted that jump up in that. It does allow for an increase in the assistant's salary, as well as some shift supervisor increases, an hourly increase.
But no new FTE.
Correct.
Okay, the motion was by Sutton.
Yep.
Second by Weiss. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for the communication budget.
The next item was that JDAI accounting. It's a fund, so we can account for it. It just wasn't in the provisional budget. So it's added to the provisional budget.
Move.
Okay.
Move by Weiss, second by Kifley, to approve the JDI
Yeah, the
grant that's going to be put into the budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I guess I have a question, Commissioner Kipley. You were going to check on the possibility of adjusting the amount of security we're providing for courthouse security. I want to get a chance to...
I have not spoken with the judges about it, but what we were trying to do is get a look at the docket with 3 courthouse rooms up on the upper levels of what it would take, and if it would be better to just have 1 armed person for each courtroom. Gary did a little research on us. There are quite often for sure 1 or 2 that are being used, but the State's Attorney's Office said it's very rare that we get all 3 courthouses or courtrooms that are being used at one time. So I guess I have not touched base with the judges. I didn't know if the easiest route to be would give our proposals. Number 1, status quo. Number 2, we have 2 armed guards or armed deputies up there. And maybe that's something we want to consider and just put it back in their plate, saying, hey, realizing the issues that we're having, can you work with us on, because obviously that's been a big piece of this issue with being low on funds this year. Is that something we want to do?
I think we should look into it. The overall cost is considerably more, well, it is what we expected it to be, but it's still a tremendous additional cost to the county to provide security from 8 to 5 every day, all day long.
Sure.
During the slow traffic times, I think that we could put that money to better use by just having the armed guards in the courtrooms when court is going on versus security all day.
Well, I think I would think if there's 1 that's available at all times couldn't they draw off of the sheriff's office if they have 3 or 2 or 3?
Well, that would be the advantage, is if things are busy over there, you can overlap, a little cross-training and a little,
Right.
when things are busy in the courtrooms, you pull 2. Or if there's only 1 courtroom being used, you can pull that person to go do, whatever you need to, transports or... So is that what we should do then, is offer a status quo where we're at, and we can just do some numbers and maybe forward it to, I think Judge Porter's been integral in kind of being the voice for the judges on that, and see if he can bring it back to Myron and the others?
I think we should. It'd still be more security than we provided prior to us putting the security program in place. And if it would satisfy their concerns, keep people safe during the time the court's being in session, it certainly wouldn't hurt to run it past them, I don't think.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll just draft up a memo, and if somebody else wants to take a look at it before I send it up, and those will be the three options, the status quo, but with what price tag we're paying for that currently, so they're very aware. And I know they're not in charge of our budget, and they don't set budgets, I've been told that multiple times, so, but as long as they're in the know of, it really is hurting us trying to keep up on that. And then the second options will be 2 certified armed guards up there, and then 1, and what those will cost with benefits. Because that would save us the overlap at the door and having to look at buying a new magnetometer. I mean, that's not going to be cheap if we have to do that.
Judge Judy has law enforcement in court with her.
One of the things I'd be curious to know is about, I realize that we have 3 courtrooms, one very seldom gets used, the other 2, I think there's a lot of overlap as far as how often are there court. I think there's Fridays there's not even court, but yet we're having security out there. I think we're just throwing a lot of dollars away for days we don't have court, and the afternoons we don't have court. I think it would be nice to know what the calendar looks like for the last 6 months in the court, to see what days and what time factors or how often there is actually court going on, would substantiate our view on what we're trying to do, I think.
Well, one of the things that Chris said was the concern of it real quick when they don't know. It's hard to schedule sometimes, but I would think then you're going to have some of that, you know, if you can't call down to the sheriff's office to get somebody up there, and that should be all coordinated, I would think.
Gary, did you pull any dockets, or did you just kind of talk to people?
No, she just, I just talked to Susan, and that's part of the issue, is that influx, and then Ross can attest to some of this too, but you know, there's just this, sometimes they have they said 4 to 10 cases that they're doing in a day, and then sometimes an attorney will all of a sudden ask for a 1-day non-jury trial versus a 2-day jury trial, and there's just a lot of different things that come into play with it, and so it's just tough to know from minute to minute what's going to be going on in a particular day.
And that also would be an advantage with the crossover in staff. Because if it's a dead day, then you just go over to and help out somewhere else, jail or sheriff's office.
I think it's worth a conversation because it is a partnership.
Definitely.
Okay, I'll draft up a memo of those 3 options, and we'll go from there. I'll have you guys read through it before I send it up to them, and have Chris
Good.
take a peek. And
Good deal.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have the racetrack contract. I believe there were some changes made on that, and I believe everybody that was involved, the bid that was received by the track, they were all right with it. Am I correct,
I
Wayne?
just haven't seen the final
yeah,
draft.
have you guys had the chance to upgrade that?
Chris doesn't quite have it done yet. He's working on it, so if we push it off for the next meeting, we should have it done.
Okay.
Yeah, we met with them, and they pretty much agreed to all the changes. I mean, it was, the changes weren't substantial at all. We just updated some language and did just a little bit of changing that didn't adversely affect the county at all, and it didn't change the contract much at all either. It just clarified some things, who was responsible for what, and everybody was happy with it, and I think now's the time to do it before we sign a new contract with a new promoter.
So we'll put that on the agenda. Well, it'll
The
be 2 weeks,
24th.
because 24th, because we put that on the agenda for that to have the racetrack contract.
And the promoters had asked if they could get a copy of it when you're done making the changes, Ross. I don't know if that's appropriate, or do we have to pass it before we give it back to them, or what's the protocol usually?
I would think they'd have the right to look at the
Okay.
changes before
So
it's
if I
signed,
get you
because it's a contract, both have to be in agreement with,
Okay.
so.
Right.
So I'll get you those 2 email addresses, and when it's done, you can send it to them as well.
That way they know that the changes they
Were made.
suggested were made.
Okay. Next item, we have Scott Mike's Emergency Manager, 2020 LEMPG Grant and Office Update.
Good morning.
Scott.
Morning, Scott.
How are all you?
Good, you?
Wonderful. Wish it would quit raining
Yeah, it did.
for now. A few things, and then a few things about the office, a little update and things like that, and then we need to discuss some contract stuff for SLA stuff. So, first of all, I'll start out and I'll say I'm glad to announce we got information that Safety Benefits has again awarded us our Loss Control Safety Achievement Award for this year. Gary's going to be the gracious one to be the recipient at the convention next week that you're at, and so that's another little good news story kind of thing. So, second of all, I just want to touch base a little bit on kind of what our office has been doing. It's been a very busy year with the flooding and all that kind of stuff. Our call numbers are considerably up this year. We're currently sitting at 65 response calls for our office, which is last year I think the whole year we had 66. So with 4 months to go, I'm guessing we're going to exceed those numbers, and we could even be the highest we've ever been since I've been in this office. So crazy world out there, stuff going on. So like I said, it's been a very busy year for us. A little update on FEMA. Of course, you know, we got the disaster declaration. Dirk and I have been working with FEMA, getting paperwork filled out and stuff like that. I still do not have, we are not any closer to getting any checks from FEMA than we were a month ago. They're still struggling to get some folks hired and inspectors in. I did get a call the other day that they are looking at our stuff, but again, we don't have any date set up for them to go out and look at inspection spots and this goes for the townships too. So everybody's just kind of sitting in a holding pattern, waiting for FEMA right now to come and start the inspections and look through the process and hopefully dole out some checks. What does that mean? I'm not quite sure. This is longer than it's ever taken before in previous disasters, so I'm assuming, I'm hoping that we can still see some money yet this year, but I can't guarantee that. I don't know how long their process is going to take. Time checks and stuff go through the state, so we may not see disaster money until after Christmas or next year. So, like I said, depending on kind of what that plays out. So, a little bit of a good news story. Some of you may have seen our Facebook page, and I'll pass around a couple pictures. This is our drone program has taken off more than I ever anticipated it would be. It has proven to be a awesome, wonderful, time-saving, great asset to our community. You can see by the pictures that this was about midnight one night. The black that you see in there, Dennis, is people. The others is vehicles and stuff like that. We're able to locate the good or bad guys, whichever type of call we're on. This particular call was within probably a minute of us getting the drone in. We had our guy. Law enforcement, they just love us because again, they get runners and we can put our bird in the air and have the bad guy apprehended. Like I said, this was less than a minute. So the problem with that is our drone's getting a little older. I did add in my budget for next year to do some updates, but I think that has gotten cut, which doesn't surprise me. I'm continuing to look for some grant revenue to update that. There's some bigger, better cameras out there that will aid in us. There's a new drone out there that allows us to fly in inclement weather and more wind, which again will just increase our capabilities and things like that. So, like I said, we're going to continue to look for some grant funds to try to fund that versus coming out of our budget. So, questions on any of that? Our CERT program, though, on the other hand, is suffering a little bit. One, we haven't had any calls to keep volunteers busy when you don't have calls, which I tell them is a good thing that I'm not calling them out. But on the other hand, it's a bad thing because when you don't use them, you lose them. So we're going to try. We're meeting tonight with my team leader group to see what we can do to reconstitute that program a little bit. I don't want to lose that program. I think it's a valuable tool for us, just like the drone program. We've got, you know, quite a bit of money invested in the CERT program. It's provided us with some great grant money. So again, I need to kind of reevaluate that. There just hasn't been time, folks, you know, with the amount of calls and stuff going on. Something's got to give in our office, and that's what's been given. We didn't have a class last year due to the building move and the blue building in shambles and stuff like that. So we're trying to regroup on that kind of stuff. But again, we're kind of suffering there a little bit. So hopefully we can get that back on track. A few weeks ago, and I know the Millen building was up for grabs today, but I'm not quite sure where you want me to take equipment for storage. Once we lose the Millen building, I'm open for suggestions to be able to store equipment in the summer and the winter. I need an answer, I guess, for lack of better terms, that, you know, what we want to do with that. There's the blue building is full. You know,
What all have you got in there?
we've got some rescue equipment. We've got some of our cribbing tools, you know, blocks for a trench collapse or building collapse. We've got our dive dragging equipment, and then it's trailers and other equipment. Like, you know, in the wintertime, our boats will go in over there to be stored for the winter, and in the summertime, our UTVs and that kind of stuff, it goes in over there. Now, there is a couple trailers that can probably sit outside. You know, obviously we're going to eat up tires sitting in the sun and stuff like that. It's going to wear on those trailers more than being inside, but some of that stuff can't be outside. So, you know, again, we're going to have to do something before we completely dismiss the Millen building on where we're going to put some equipment. So, like I said, I'm open for suggestions.
How big area you're looking at, Scott, probably need, would you guess? How many is it?
Well, you know, and some of it, you know, I think there's 6 trailers over there right now. Probably about half of them probably need to be indoors. You know, a couple garage stalls.
24 by 24 garage, something like that?
Yeah. We could probably work, you know, as long as it's got a big enough ceiling height to be able to get, you know, UTVs and stuff. It's probably, you know, 10, 12 feet tall on the trailer. Our rescue sleds are over there.
You haven't checked with the city by any chance to see if they'd have something somewhere?
The city's renting for their police department for some of their equipment now because they don't have room for it. So, food for thought. You know, don't expect a decision, but we can't forget about that in the grand scheme of the Millen building stuff. So, the only other thing I got is if there's any questions for me. Our plans and stuff have not changed. What's not broke, there's no reason to reinvent the world to fix anything. So you should be getting a sheet from Patty next week for a plan and no change in our plan stuff. Unless somebody's got questions, I just have some contract stuff to discuss.
Sounds good. Do you need it exactly that?
I would prefer if we can.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to go into exec for contract for emergency management. Move. Second. Moved by Weed, second by Sutton to go into exec for contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are out of exec and no action as a result on contract. Next item on the agenda, we have Diane Lair with Teen Court dates and location.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Diane.
Hey, Diane.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Good, and you?
Good, I'm good, thanks.
Well, the teen court has moved into the offices downstairs, and that's very nice. It's working really well. What I'd like to discuss is where we actually hold our court. So our very first time we were over in the courthouse, and it raised some concerns and questions and that I want to address. So first of all, I had kids coming to the wrong door, even though I told them where to go. I had attorneys going to the wrong door, trying to get in the courthouse doors. And so what that ended up doing is making us be there a lot longer. I also had kids that were trying to come through those doors with backpacks, and I'm like, I'm not being responsible for that. I don't want, so I made them leave their backpacks outside. So bottom line is, when we first talked about where we would hold court, we said either downstairs in that room outside those offices or in the courthouse. And I'm asking if we can come to an agreement to hold those downstairs. Through the end of the year, I checked with Lynn Heipel. All the dates are open currently. There's 7 more dates through the end of the year for court. And it would be much easier to have everybody coming in this door and staying in this building. And so that's my request today.
I think that's a good plan, rather than trying to depend on the courthouse, or the courtroom. Just keep everything close to your office.
Okay.
In general, when is it held?
Thursday evenings, twice a month. So this month we have court this Thursday, and then the 26th of September. There's two in October, 2 in November, 1 in December.
As long as you coordinate with Lynn so that the schedule is always, kept up to date.
Right.
So they don't
And
overbook.
And if there's something that comes up, we could use the break room, the employee break room too. That's big enough for court, because we'll only have about 8 people at one time in there, so.
Sounds good.
That was a good plan, yeah.
See no problem with that.
Okay, so are you okay with me starting downstairs this
Yeah.
coming Thursday?
Yes.
Absolutely. Sure.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, how are ya?
Good.
Good to see you, Russ.
Next item on the agenda, we have discussed the Bolorama.
I guess I'll take that one. Kurt had asked me to bring up a concern, and basically the county receives $2,775 basically for revenue for the Bolorama, and this past year it cost us $23,000 to fix the road and asphalt in front of the Expo edition from getting set up for that event. And so he just wanted to raise the concern and basically was wondering if that was something that you wanted to continue doing, or if you wanted to work out something else, or how you wanted to proceed with that.
Are you good with the Bolorama?
I was here to field a few questions if
Okay.
needed.
Well, I'm sure that the whole 23,000 isn't from that one event, but I'm sure it does it no favors.
That was my question as to just how much damage was actually created by the Bolorama. Is there a breakdown of that?
Well, it was basically for bringing dirt in on the north side of the Expo building. That broke up the road, and then when they were using the skid steer to set up the panels, it broke some of the asphalt in front of the Expo edition, and so that was the question, and Kurt just wanted me to pass that on and see how you wanted to proceed from there.
I talked to Wally Mossbrucker, who brings the poles in, and he said that parking lot was all tore up before they even got there. It's been a mess out there for a long time. As a concerned citizen, by the way, I'm Terry from the Hitchin Post, and Casey Wiseman couldn't be here. He makes a bigger presence in more than one way than others. I also serve on the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I commend Casey for bringing in events to Aberdeen, the Bolorama being a 2-day event. It benefits, 2-day events benefits motels, restaurants, businesses like ours. And through our business, the Hitchin Post probably benefits more than any business in town because of the Bolorama.
we start fielding questions in February, people calling, wanting to know when the Bowl-A-Ram is going to be. We sell tickets 3 to 4 weeks in advance. It brings people into our store. The weekend of the Bowl-A-Ram is huge for us because there's a lot of people in town. Let's see.
Terry, what dates are the Bowl-A-Ram scheduled for?
I don't think it's been set yet because
Normally though, what time
it's
frame?
usually the middle of April.
Mid-April.
So that's when-
Looking at 17th and 18th this year.
That's when our roads and everything are their worst condition from the spring
Probably.
thaw and stuff. So I guess if you're bringing dirt in for that, is there a way to do it earlier while things are froze up yet, rather than being on those roads as the frost is coming out? I guess I'm looking for alternatives if that's happening. And you know what it was like this spring. It was probably one of the toughest
Yeah,
springs we've had
it
for
was.
roads. So I guess, you know, that's one of the things I'm looking at. Is there a way to work that out, that maybe that could be done, you know, in March yet when things are froze up? I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work out as far as the scenario, what they need done. I mean, I haven't ever set this in together, so there's a lot of particulars I don't know about. But are there ways to prevent some of that happening to that, you know?
I don't know.
Well, a lot of it will come down. I believe we have Donnie's coming with the dirt work. Again, most of that's going to be frozen at that time, so this year we actually kind of struggled with it to get it in time. So that's part of the downfall of it. And that road to the north, we actually blocked off and changed our loadout chutes. It was, like I say, broke up. Somebody drove by with a pickup and trailer, and I don't know what it was, but you could just feel the ground just shift, you know. So we actually blocked it off, and we wouldn't let the semis obviously on it, the trailers, whatever. We added extra panels to go out to kind of the main parking lot area, which is different than we do most years, the loading, unloading area, just to kind of try to help the breakup of that, obviously.
And that was gonna be my question, is, and it sounds like you've already addressed it, by moving
Yep,
the
yep.
heavier equipment to the more
Exactly.
stable areas.
Yes, sir.
I think you've already done that, so.
Yep.
It doesn't sound to me like that was the problem, though. It sounds to me like the problem was actually getting the material into the building, and I don't think there's a way to get it in earlier because of would be a conflict with the hockey program. You know, you couldn't put the dirt in there a month earlier because the hockey program was still going on.
Correct.
Stage it
So-
outside, but then you gotta handle it twice, and like you
Yeah.
said, there's a chance that
We knew.
that's gonna be frozen, you can't even move it yet. So
Right.
there's just not much base in that stuff up there to begin with, if you're gonna have that kind of activity, which is the whole purpose of the place.
Maybe we can get the Aberdeen promotion, get some Aberdeen promotion monies to fix the ground out there so that it'll be better.
They don't even contribute to the fair.
Huh?
They don't give any to the fair. We've tried. They don't give anything to the county.
Well, it's definitely an event that I think the county wants to try and continue to support, and if we can come up with a way of, you know, if we're gonna have to spend $23,000 every year on a $2,700 income, that doesn't make good economic sense, but the county, I think it's in our best interest to try and help maintain and promote these type of events, because they're good for everybody.
What exactly did they spend that $23,000? I drove out to the fairgrounds and they fixed that whole, or put a 2-inch, looks like a 2-inch layer of asphalt just on the north side of the building. But if you come in from the south side, are those roads, you know, when you have the carnival out there, I mean, that's heavy equipment. That's got to do some damage in some areas out there.
That makes back the revenue, though. I think that Carnival does well. Get a little more than $2,300 from the
Yeah.
Carnival. I mean,
Wow.
not saying it's not, but
I think the factor there is the time of year.
Yeah, it definitely is.
You're looking at mid-April versus August. I think the ground is a whole different setup on what you're driving on at that point in time. It's just unfortunate that in the spring of the year, that's when your roads and why do we have weight limits on everything? There's a reason for it, and that's the same thing out there. I mean, it's just that time of year that you've got big trucks and big equipment hauling dirt in, it's gonna affect the pavement.
Now, that 23,000, they don't spend that every year.
No,
I mean,
they did, this was after that.
That's probably
That was
been,
just that north road?
that's probably been needed
Yep,
over
north side.
10 years.
Yeah, and like I said, we never, they don't even use the north side to
load and unload dirt, because we'd have to use the east side, those big doors. So you can't
But
take
now
it.
you're talking about an area that's not even...
I was saying, because we can't even get trucks off that, or loading in and out those back doors, because that's just a double walk-through door on the north side.
That makes sense too, what you're saying, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's gotta come in from the east side.
Right.
It can't even come in from that northwest corner. And they moved the trucks, so the gates and panels, so they didn't have to back on
Yeah,
there.
except we had that blocked off even, so they wouldn't even try driving on it.
Right.
But yeah, if it's that north side.
You know, and the other thing is, I'm sure Kurt is worried about the fact that if $23,000 was spent on asphalt, 2-inch or whatever mat overlay, you can put that on top of muck, and in one
Yeah.
trip across there, you're gonna have damage again.
Right.
And
They probably should have...
didn't fix the base.
Right, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way, and this is it sounds to me like a Band-Aid.
Mhm.
Hey Dirk, you got a sec?
I'm really busy.
Yeah, right? Come on in.
He doesn't want to be involved in this.
Unbusy yourself.
I'm sure you were helping with this project, so.
Sit up in the hot seat.
Where did we spend that 23?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what they did in terms of, underneath it. You know, reference point, this parking lot was 13,000. That was just for the asphalt. We probably had 5,000-6,000 into processing it prior to that. So, I don't know. I will say I've been irritated about the carnival setup for about 20 years, because the first thing they do is go and drive spikes for all the tents and all the roads and everything. So our ability to maintain that parking lot over the years, even going back to when they built the new hockey building and we put the asphalt on the south side of that building, it's always kind of been a struggle, even under the best conditions. And, you know, ever since those were no longer county roads, which happened about '01, the maintenance out there has been really spotty. It's nobody's fault, but, and I'm going to open up a can of worms, but I find it hard to believe that one Bolorama destroyed the parking lot. What they're describing and what they did out there, you had to be on something that was well into its lifespan for it to fail to that extent. So, I don't know. Do they do that in the building? I mean,
Yes.
so you're talking
In
the
the
damage
actual
got
building.
done when they're coming and backing the trucks in there to unload the dirt? Is
That's
that
the way they're talking about it.
Well,
It'll be on the
the
north
damage would
side.
be on the-
That's what they're talking about, which we didn't actually even can't use that north side.
Damage would have been done on the east side if you would have damaged.
Yeah, it'd been the main parking lot area. I mean, that's where they have those big overhead doors to go in with the trucks, so.
Well, and that needs work too, seriously, because that was all busted up little chunks like that. And the vendors, the food vendors along that side, I mean, and I couldn't see, I mean, there wasn't that kind of bad breakup, you know, where you had literally truck ruts and stuff like that, even this year.
There should be some kind of a, and it gets back into some of the same issues we have working on the track when you have different folks that use the same facility. You're going down a slippery slope if you're gonna just pull someone out of the list, everybody that used the fairgrounds last year, and say, well, right there's the guys that wreck it. Now, I don't like that the city gets a bunch of tax revenue and stuff off our facilities like that, but to hang it all on the Bolorama, I don't think that's realistic, so, for whatever that's worth. So, going forward, they should have a little vision and maybe segment that whole, everything out there that's asphalt that goes around the expo and the hockey building. I mean, they're nice facilities. I would expect going into the future, we're gonna continue to use them, so it's not a stupid place to try to maintain something. And I know I'm sitting here after I don't have any highway money, but, you have to, if you had a plan, I mean. But, you know, if you say split it up into 3 pieces and go, we're gonna do this third this year, and try to be a little more systematic about it.
Do it one place, kind of like
Do
you're
it
doing.
right, do a good job, process what's underneath first, you know, and,
Yeah, I agree. You can't just hang it all on these guys, so.
but, whatever.
You know, there's a lot of businesses in town that have bad parking lots, and we have a bad parking lot, I need to replace it. I'm not gonna close my business because I don't want people to drive on my parking lot, and that's essentially what we would be doing here.
The mall's never had a nice parking lot. 1985, it hasn't had a good parking lot, so.
It was nice the first 2 weeks.
Then it rained.
That's right.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun to be out there now after 4 inches of rain either.
Well, I'd like to see the Bolorama continue, and I think we should work with the people to do whatever we have to accommodate them, and they need to do the same for us based on the road and the weather conditions. You know, it sounds like you're already doing it to a certain extent.
Whatever we can, you know.
I think we continue with that partnership and relationship and make it work, make it happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see no problem with it. I realize that the revenue isn't great for us, but I have to kind of agree, probably didn't happen all in one year. It's probably been an ongoing thing. Maybe a bad thing wouldn't be is when that gets ready to happen around the 1st of April, maybe a couple commissioners go out and look at what the conditions are of that setup, and then after Bolorama, you look at the same conditions, and that kind of gives you a feel, well, was it mainly, it gives us a better feel for what's going on.
I think all parties involved that are using that facility probably should be together at that point.
Yeah.
Everybody, not just, I mean, that's been part of the problem, is the total communication, and Dirk touched on that everybody that uses that facility should have an opportunity to have some input there.
How many years has it been there?
Excuse me.
Started in the 90s, I believe, you know, and then skipped a few years here, and then we kind of brought it back. Was it 2 years now?
Last year, there was a huge bull riding in Sioux Falls, the PBR in Sioux Falls, and that draws a lot of people. They still had a packed house both nights here the same weekend. So it brings a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely was bigger the second year than the first. I mean, first year coming back is always the toughest, but second year, or last year, had a very good turnout overall. And it, I don't know if Terry mentioned it or not, but Boys and Girls Club gets a pretty good little chunk of that too. You know, they do the concessions there, and so it helps the community kind of all the way around.
I don't have any problem with continuing. I guess if we continue as course and pay just a little more attention to all parties involved and take it from there.
All right, good to me.
Anything else?
Thanks for coming in, everybody, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item, we have Judy Dosh, Building Superintendent. Snow removal, what are we doing with snow removal already? That's a little early.
Not Christmas yet. Not the way it's been raining.
The way it looks. That had been snowed the last 4 days.
We'd still be digging out.
Might have given up.
You got tired of waiting for us?
Thought she was buying dirt.
I noticed I was last on the list.
I didn't hear anything.
We talked snow and we were all laughing about it. What are you doing talking snow in September?
Well.
Could happen.
Could happen, yeah.
It could happen by the end of October.
Enough out.
Okay. Since you're talking about the snow, we can start with the snow. I'll just kind of pass this around and you guys can kind of just kind of look at this, but I just printed this out this morning because I was just curious. I have to keep a log on the sidewalk maintenance log. And I know I think I'm missing a couple of jerks in here because I just initial for those, but just to kind of so what I have is from Lean's, because Lean always does all our big parking lots. So I didn't know if you guys wanted, if I can sign this, or if you guys need to sign or have Lean do the snow for all the parking lots.
A lot of parking lots.
I think our practice has become, as of late, and on the recommendation of our state's attorney, that the chairman enters into contracts.
Yep, so I'll have to get them to get me something, and then we'll sign that, you guys can sign that. And then for the sidewalk snow removal, actually the 124 building, I still have the, I think it's called Big Scoop. He does just the sidewalks at the 124 building. The other sidewalk guys, they would do the, because it's such a small parking lot, and then they remove the snow and they bring it over here and put it in the pile, and then the highway shop removes it. So I have 2 quotes, one from Smart Choice Solutions and one from Inman Irrigation. And what I did was I just took like for a loader per hour and a man per hour on both of them. And that, because basically the snow to haul out to put the loads, to haul the loads from like the 124 building over here is like $100 a load, you know. But it comes to, for the Smart Choice Solutions, it's $134 an hour, and for Edmunds it was $148 an hour. And that's for a loader and a guy, and then a guy shoveling per hour. And I can pass these around if you kind of want to.
And that $100 per load, that's over and above that.
Right, because they're both, I mean, they're both the same, $100, so I didn't incorporate that in coming up with, to see who was the lowest.
So on some of these prices, Judy, that when they did these, like on 118, it was $2,800.66. How do they arrive at that dollar amount?
That's how long it takes them to do the snow. That's by using
On that particular
event?
Yep, that particular event, yep. It all goes by how much snow we have and how long it takes them.
It was an eventful winter.
And then
Yeah.
that would all be
And-
reflected on the
Especially if
$100
there's
per
all this
load.
budget.
It's like, you know, like maybe, you know, some snows you maybe have one load.
Right.
Some snows you could have 4 loads, you know, so that.
Except for those 2 little shots, we got it all after the first of the year.
Yep.
Yes.
All on this
And
calendar year.
they're kind of saying we're gonna even have more
Yeah.
snow this year. I don't know.
Well, look at our weather
I'm
pattern.
hoping not.
Look at our weather pattern.
Yeah.
We'll know.
Yep. I'm hoping that it pulls off because my budget just doesn't, because that took mostly all my, I mean, it took all my snow money.
Yep.
So, I don't have any for like.
Well, unfortunately, if it snows as much as it's rained all
Yeah.
summer, it could be in for another hurdle.
Do you have a total on all of this? I don't see a total.
No, I just kind of did this, 63,741.
How much?
63.
63.
Yep. And then, and I'm missing either 1 or 2 of dirt. So what I have listed on there is highway shop was, we paid him back was $12,000, well, $13,000.
So 75,000 total.
63,000 total.
Oh, I
The
thought.
12 is off of there.
Oh, off there, not added to it, okay.
Yeah, and there's a little more than
Yep.
that. And I only had 45,000 on my budget last year, so you know I'm over.
Mhm.
And I put 60,000 in for this coming year.
Which would probably will return something 18. It'll do what it'll do.
Yep.
All right.
I have to cut somewhere else or whatever.
Do you need a motion on that one competitive proposal?
Do you have a suggestion on all of them, Judy, as far as what you want to do, as far as the way it's been bid out, or?
No, I mean, we always go by whatever the lowest was. I mean, I did per man
Mm-hmm.
and,
And a loader.
yeah, and a loader.
I'll make a motion to go with the Smart Choice bid at 134.
Second.
We have a motion by Sutton, second by Gipley, to accept a little bit of Smart Choice Solutions for snow removal for the county for the upcoming year.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have any reference on that company at all? I mean, is it new, is it old? Have you
Actually-
had them, you have any experience with them?
Actually, it's, we used to have Dakota Tree,
Mhm.
and Dakota Tree closed down, and now this guy, another guy started up, and he's the Smart Choice Solution with his crew. And actually, if you looked on this, at our last big snowfall that we had, Dakota Tree had closed down, and it actually,
So
right here, Edmund did it.
Who's the name of the company there? I mean, who bought,
I want to say, he's the one that just took the evergreen trees down too. I wanted to say it was a Johnson.
Oh, is that FCS? Yeah.
Johnson?
I think he was Johnson.
We were out there all weekend working on that. Sorry.
That's all right.
They were-
All in favor, accept the low bid?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Nice job.
Like the names.
Yeah. I went,
Sure, the bigger mess.
So they'll bring something for me to sign then, is that what the plan is?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes, they will. Hey, the other project that I have is I'm trying to get water to the weed building. And then I took some quotes. So I have a quote from the South Dakota Underground, and he is 5,400 plus excise tax. That sounds better, doesn't it?
Did you hear any gas?
Where we're going with this water.
I'm used
My
to big
heart
numbers.
started.
And then Jacobs and Son, 5,800 plus tax. And B&B Contracting was $6,479.60, and he's got the excise tax included in his. And then Downey's was $7,950. And he doesn't say anything about excise tax, so I'm assuming that's above that.
Who was the very
Interesting, from lowest to highest.
Oh, that's not it, yeah.
Who was the first one? What was
It's, South Dakota Underground. That's an Uzi one.
I'd entertain a motion to take the low bid for installing the water to the weed
I'll make the motion to go with South Dakota Underground.
Motion by Sutton, second by Weeds, to accept the low bid of South Dakota Underground to supply the water to the weed and test building. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then I'm just gonna have to get a plumber to come from outside the building, to putting the meter on and everything, and all the valves, and that might probably run about $1,400. So, just so that you guys know, that once we get it to the building, then
And that'll
we'll
be, the project will be completed, the electricity, the water, and everything will be where we need to be
Yes,
then.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And no bathroom.
No.
Put a porta potty on the outside.
Yeah, they have a porta potty already. Yeah, they do. That's just, they need to fill their big barrels of water they have in there and all that kind of stuff, and then they have a sink, and then yeah, okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's progress on the food building coming?
It's coming good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, good.
All I'm doing now is waiting for the house of glass to get the window in, and then I can get the carpet shampooed and cold base put around, and change out some ceiling tile, and
No
Get ready.
bathroom,
it's
no
good.
building.
They need the guy, the painter needs to come to do all the metal door and the frame, so.
We got no bid on the Miller building.
I know I was out here because I wanted to
Are
know.
we on target for 24/7 to be in there by October 1st?
October 1st, I'm hoping.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
And I'm hoping to get planning and zoning down by the end of this month, and welfare down by the end of this month. So, I'm
Good.
waiting for downstairs for the wall to get, that's put in. I'm just waiting for that to get, paint, so that we can get it painted and then get house of glass over here.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
Judy.
Thank you.
Hi, Derek, you're late.
Next item, we have Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent. We have a right-of-way application. We made you wait a while for that one, didn't you?
Yeah, it's exciting. I got 3 of them, actually. First one's for Northern Electric. And it is 387, just south of town. It's in the Hale Mile there. I'm assuming it's going into sewer dump is actually where he's going. It's pouring under the road, adding, updating his electrical service. It's for Northern Electric, and I don't see any problems with it.
We'll move it.
Second.
And I remembered to sign them this time.
Moved by Sutton, second by Piker, to approve Northern Electric to
Build it on
upgrade on 387,000, is it?
He's gonna put a campground in there, and then I think he's just building a new house.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next one is for James Valley. This is 72 count fiber, so they're putting in update communications. County 10 right south of 21 down here. There's some new houses going in that first mile south 21 along 10. It's just put in the fiber and internet and stuff for those folks.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Piper, second by Weeds for James Valley to update some fiber. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. The motion carries.
Yeah.
This one's the same thing, except it's only a 48 count fiber, and it's out here on 19A, or excuse me, 19-2. It's going west of 281 there, across from Elgard, just in our first mile there. They go along the north side of the road, and looks like they're gonna bore under the road right at the end of the first mile there. But same thing, shouldn't be a problem. They're just up for increase in the fiber capacity there.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Kipling, second by Weeds to approve the James Valley update on their cable.
Yeah,
All in favor? Fiber? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I got.
Any water problems?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll have-
once everything's full, doesn't take much to generate some phone calls, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff going north and the wrong direction and all that, but I think we're surviving for the most part. So, all right.
As long as Dirk's here, could I ask a question?
Sure. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, since the plant started accepting beans, and I was just gonna ask Dirk, did you have a traffic count, let's just say 6 months ago, and then put one up now? I mean, the semis going by our place with pups has been phenomenal.
Yep.
In the north.
Yep.
And I'm assuming most of them that are coming from the north, they're filtered in from the east and even from the west because of the location of the terminal. Let's just say the Frederick people or west of Frederick are coming to 14.
North
straight in.
Dakota.
Yeah,
North Dakota.
So I'm not complaining, and the semis, a lot of them are identified, and I can tell you who they are, but I'm not going to because they're right Frederick, but that count's going to be dramatic.
No, we got, we have historic counts there. I think the last one's probably 2 years old.
But it
no,
still
that's-
give you a good...
Right, no, that's no problem, we can put them up.
You know, I don't know how it's going to continue, but didn't they fill, I heard they were filling the bins up half full.
Yep.
And they hold 4 million, by the way, total capacity, so a lot of loads in there.
Yep. I would say I haven't driven past there where I haven't seen a truck going in or going out in the last
So what
3 or
is
4
the-
weeks.
What's a camera system cost to set up to take pictures so that we can bill those guys, say $10 a load coming in? Send them out a ticket like they do for
Toll roads.
toll road.
I don't know, I can look into it, Ohio does that.
Yeah.
And I know I was looking at putting in one of them DOT weather stations like they have, where you can go and click on the camera and in a couple spots in the county where the DOT doesn't have cameras, that would help us. That was more for snow removal, so you can look and see what the road conditions are. That one was a little more spendy, it had a lot of diagnostic equipment on it, but the camera wouldn't be any big deal. But you guys gotta put in the rest of the mechanism to do that.
Record it and then have somebody actually send out the
You want to charge for truckload?
well, I don't know, something, north.
That's right, you're a cow guy, aren't you?
Yeah, but the fact is, I do get on the road with Abe.
We should probably charge for cattle too then, huh?
And hay.
No,
For bail.
I want it with the truck.
For bail.
I want it with the
Yeah,
truck.
For bail.
This is going nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
Well, this is getting good.
I just wanted to get the fiber in out there.
I brought it up.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's
No.
much increase in cattle trailers on 14, because the cattle numbers are down the last few years. But we knew it was gonna happen.
Well,
This is no
absolutely.
news. But it's just been,
There it is.
fun to watch them go by.
There it is.
I usually walk every day if the weather
Mhm.
sees it. And I, you know, we knew it was gonna happen, we talked about this, and I think 14 will be one of the main arteries coming in, because even if they come from west of Frederick, it's probably easier to go to 14, if 5 and some of them are in pretty good shape, than come in on 281. Maybe not this winter though, when your load, or next spring, when the load limits are on the north end.
Well, I think they're aware of that, and they're gonna try and time
So
it.
then they'll take 281 and hop over.
Come across on Prairiewood Road.
Or take a breath. Yeah.
Yeah, load limits are gonna go up to the Columbia Road when the bridge is done as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be less of an incentive
Yeah.
for them to use it.
Well, they always have been out to the Columbia Road, haven't they?
No, it's been open. That's not posted up to the Columbia Road.
No, I agree.
But it's going to be.
Oh,
After the-
okay.
Yeah, it's only open because the bridge has been posted. That's the only reason that's open. But anyway, yeah, we can put traffic
Well,
counts
I'm
up there.
just curious for your own satisfaction, because but it might slow up too, you know, now.
Once they reach a level.
Well, I think if people knew the amount, and I just had a conversation with one of you about this, the amount of North Dakota traffic that uses 14,
Oh,
regardless of the bean plant,
Yeah.
it's astounding to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, McPherson County, from Forbes south to the
Yeah.
ethanol plant,
North
that
Dakota.
oil that goes down, yeah, up to Tonka,
North Dakota.
that road destroyed.
Yeah.
And they're actually talking about a camera system, and it's because of a lot of corn coming out of North Dakota, load after load after load going down to the ethanol plant. And they can't keep up.
Nope.
So you're saying we should just tax those then?
Yeah.
North Dakota ones?
Yeah.
Set it up.
You'll put a blacktop overlay out there on 13, just east of, or west of Dakota, where the culverts went through before winter?
13.
Yeah,
Richmond
Prairie
Road.
Oh, on the
Road.
Prairie, yeah, before the, we'll throw a thing on there, sure.
How bad is
Absolutely.
this weather gonna set them guys back on that project?
On which one now?
On 13, on Richmond Road.
Once they get going, it won't matter. The first step that they're doing where they mill, like they're gonna do full depth milling first, and then they add cement. And there's two pieces in the 4 miles that'll happen. One's right up by the bridge, right east of the bridge there's a spot, and I think the other one's further to the west of there yet. But there's 2 spots out there that they'll probably, if they get started today, they'll mill it up and add cement to it. And then they go back to the beginning, and weather, like rain, is almost doesn't matter, because you're not using any heat, so you don't, like if you're paving, and you lose all the heat either in your mix, or you gotta add more energy into the system to keep the mix hot, it gets expensive. But when you're doing cold in place, I mean, nothing's ever more than 70 degrees out there. The whole
Unless
thing-
you're in water, it shouldn't make that much
Right.
I
difference.
mean, actually, I guess my concern was some of the cracking and stuff in the roads where the water probably
Oh,
went in. That isn't gonna make any
No.
difference.
no. I mean, unless, we would have already seen something pretty dramatic for just the last event to affect it, you know. So anyway, I'm hoping that they're going, and they're supposed to be getting going on the West Bridge at Richmond as well. So hopefully all that stuff's gonna scramble and get everything done by the end of the year, I guess.
Santa Claus is coming.
Yes, yes. All right, thank you.
Always
Thank you,
fun.
Thank you for the time.
Anything else coming for the commission?
Oh, we kind of skipped over, so, because we were trying to keep on track, the 2020 provisional budget. We had made a couple changes there. I'm gonna look into the courthouse security and let you guys know on that, but the other thing I wanted a discussion on is, we had agreed up till now to do a 2% increase for employees, and then historically, we've tried to kind of alternate, doing a percentage and then doing the quarters, perhaps. This is the year we're supposed to do the percentage, but it's just kind of something we've done traditionally. Perhaps one thing we could consider doing is doing the quarters this year and then doing the percentage next year, because it sounds like if we do it that way, it would make a difference of about $100,000 in the budget. It's about half price to do the quarter increases versus the percentage. And I know that it's not gonna cure everything for the budget that we're looking at this year, but it would sure be nice to get up to that 6 million for the highway. We're still sitting, I think, floating around that, 5.8 million So I don't know what your guys' thoughts on it are, just trying to look at some other suggestions so we can, and it's one of those changes that, you know, it just compounds over time. If we make a little change this year, it'll help us out next year a little bit.
And for what you're offering, it does give the people at the lower end scale a little bit more than it does on the other
Exactly.
side of it for what you are doing.
The ones that are truly maybe the paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
So I guess I would offer that up as a motion for discussion, and also with that motion, I would also say that we as commissioners would not take an increase this year.
I second the motion for the sake of discussion.
I know that's a lot of work to go back to departments to figure their salaries, but I think it might be worth that.
We'll just do a generalized, without considering OT and anything like that, and just subtract out for the full-time employees.
Yeah, it's for budget purposes.
Because just out of curiosity, I asked Kathy when the last time we've been that low, and I believe you said it was '08 was the last time the highway budget was as low as it is now. So we're really digressing, and like I said, I know this isn't going to make up for everything, but those little changes are really going to help them out a little bit. So
We have a motion by Kipley, a second by Sutton to approve a quarter raise per hour for the employees and to have commissions salary froze as is
For budget purposes.
for budget purposes.
for 2020.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Some of the employees are gonna be disappointed. They thought they were getting 2%.
But some will be low.
If you do that a little bit more, they'll be happy, so.
Not actually set till the first meeting next year.
Right.
It's true. We're right. And if nothing else, I would make a motion to go into exec for personnel and legal.
Second.
We have a motion by Kipley, a second by Sutton to go into exec for personnel and legal.
Did you have anything for personnel, Erica? Or are you good today? Did you have anything for us?
I just have my exec personnel for exec.
Okay, so we can do hers first.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries to the exec, and no action as a result on personnel and legal. One of the other things I wanted to just bring up again, I had talked to Erica the other day. It seems like every time we have a payroll with a holiday or something in there, people have to put all these additional hours in. What did you say? You got about 7 hours the other day because of one holiday? Between Sarah, Communication, Erica, Sundial does not allow for any alterations on a odd day. So then everybody's got to go back and try to figure out how to get this into Sundial. And I believe between the 3 or 4 of you, you had 7 hours into this one person. This is ridiculous. Something's either got to be designed on Sundial to get this taken care of, or we got to scrap it. I'm tired of listening to this and the man hours that we put into this. And you know, it's just not one department. You start figuring our 24/7, what our poor jailers go through, and the people over there that do that payroll, well, they're probably spending 4 days doing payroll. Well, I think they got better things to do than spending 4 days doing payroll.
And that's where we notice it, I would say the most is our 24/7 facilities or entities versus our 8 to 5. Our 8 to 5s, we don't have issues. If we do, they're very minimal, but it's when it comes down to dispatch or the sheriff's office, they're spending a lot of time just trying to figure out their hours, if they're correct, if they're getting the correct overtime, holiday pay, whatever it may be. So,
What do you suggest, Erica, as far as a...
We
you have an idea?
We got her suggestion.
We cut that from the budget, yes, the
Yeah.
timekeeping piece.
Just a reminder, that would have been $30,000, right, for the software?
well, 45 is the total software.
Executive.
And, I mean, we could split it between 2 calendar years. I could start the implementation, and that's when the first bill would be due at the end of 2020, and then finish it off at the beginning of 2021, and then when we're done is when the second half of that bill is due.
But is that right? You couldn't have that $45,000 software for Executime unless you had the upgrade for the
In Code 10.
In Code 10.
In Code 10, we could split that one also.
But that one was 7.
That one was 30,000, and that's split between 3 different departments. And so it'd be 15,000 one year and 15,000 another year, but 5,000 for each of those departments. 2020 and then 2021.
But I think we can do it on 9 if we need to.
They
It
would-
just works best with 10.
Yeah, correct.
Well, you know, for as much, I mean, I've only been back here 9 months, but for as much complication and confusion as the Sundial thing has created, let's put it to bed. I mean, let's fix it.
Well,
That's enough.
You know, the other thing is there anything we can do to Sundial to take care of these holiday pays and the stuff that we're having trouble with? Can there actually be fixed so that these people that are doing that payroll don't have to spend, I don't know how many hours we're losing every
Well,
payroll doing this.
What's
I mean,
that costing?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, you've got your department heads, if your department heads are doing it, they're salaried, so it's, I mean, that's just their time. But when you've got, like, over in the jail or JDC, it's your department heads there hourly. If you have, well, Nate Smith was the one who was doing it for the jail. Now he's passed it down to a couple other people to look at, well, this is totally new to them, they haven't done it before. So when it comes to a holiday, we're really struggling. And for me to sit down with them, I can say, yeah, okay, let's do this one. We can get through 2 of them, and then we run into one that's a real hang-up. How do we get these regular hours here? So then we have to go through and just try to calculate it out to get it to work correctly.
Is Square 9 fixable? Have we asked that question?
No, Sundial.
Get it-
So
Why
why isn't it in there as an option?
Sundial is what I meant. Is Sundial fixable?
Why isn't it an option? Or is it?
You know, I think it's going to be a lot of programming on Paul's part for Sundial, just because there's 3 different screens we can look at. There's an edit detail, there's a personal punch sheet, and then there's a department detail. And not all 3 of those screens match each other. So that would be probably number 1, is getting all 3 of those screens to match each other. Then the next thing would be is, okay, here's your regular hours worked, here's your overtime, and then here's your holiday. And then there's that divide between your 8-hour holiday and your 10-hour holiday. And I was told that the 8-hour is already in there, so the 10-hour can't be put in there. That's just what I was told.
By who?
The 10-hour couldn't be put in there.
By who?
Because the 8-hour was in there.
Told by who?
I think it was dispatch. Because they asked about it. Because dispatch is 10-hour shift.
Okay, well, let's identify where these issues are and find out for sure, just, you know, who's having what issues and what can we do to address it.
Okay. And I don't know, did Max address any of them?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I know it's been an ongoing problem with Sundial, and it's always in your 24/7 and all your, when you have a variable pay period, like you have a holiday or something in that pay period, you close the snow day removal, gets to be a hassle. You close the office for half a day. I mean, it's like our whole payroll in that 24/7, just, it's like, well, how we do this? It's like nobody knows, and it's tiring after this long. It's got to be.
All right, well, let's identify the specific issues we're spending all that time on and where we're at with.
And the other thing is, employees would like to sign off on their pay stubs instead of everything just automatically rolling over to the manager piece of things. I heard that from a few employees over in the dispatch area. And the issue with that is if an employee is not physically present to sign off on their pay stub, then that manager cannot approve payroll until that employee signs off on it, from what I was told by Paul, is that the employee has to physically sign off on it before it can go to the manager to be signed off on. So if that employee is gone on that Monday or Tuesday, or whatever it may be, and doesn't get signed off on, that manager can't sign off on that.
So it holds up the whole payroll for that
Correct.
department?
Physically within the system, or?
Yes, it needs to be signed off by that employee before it can roll over.
Well, if there's a specific work group that needs to have access to do it remotely or something, that's something we can consider doing without having to do it for everybody. If it's only just one work group that has that issue because of scheduling.
That I guess I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I think it's an issue that
Let's
needs to
identify
be
that.
addressed. Whether we have to have Paul sit in, or, you know, it's been an ongoing issue, and I think it's caused some problems with our payroll. I mean, as far as the effectiveness, and I think it's also causing a problem for you doing the payroll there.
I mean, we go employee by employee and double check everything
Okay,
that
well,
we can.
let's quantify the issues and identify what's fixable and what's not.
Okay.
Okay.
That was my tidbit that I had to have you come back here for, because I know it's been an issue, and
Now, let's get after it.
Any more tidbits?
no. That was probably a little bit bigger than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that tidbit, but.
Because your tidbits are big.
Anything else coming before the commission?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Pfeiffer to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.